Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for joining this webinar session. And for the DTI Vigan folks, I'm sorry I cannot join you at your event. However, I hope that the consumer vigilance in digital age will be helpful to you. So let's get started. All right. Thank you. So let's begin. Okay, so in this presentation, I would like to tackle two components. The first one is all about consumer protection on e-commerce, and then afterwards, I'm also going to talk about a little bit of data privacy and what impact does this have, no, to the e-commerce law, no, or to the consumer protection that we're going to talk about in this for this topic, no. So for those of you attending this webinar session for the first time, my name is Janet Toral. I'm from digitalfilipino.com. Okay. Let me... All right. So for those of you attending our webinar session for the first time, my name is Janet Toral. I'm from digitalfilipino.com. Digital Filipino is an e-commerce resource website. And we're also conducting a program called the Certified E-commerce Specialist Entrepreneur and Professional Program. I'm also working or doing some work for the Department of Trade and Industry, particularly for Cebu and Bohol. For Cebu, I've trained three batches of MSMEs in getting them to do e-commerce and digital marketing. So we've done this for three batches now, and we're also doing one for Bohol right now. So let's talk about the consumer protection guidelines insofar as e-commerce is concerned, and why is this important? I think one of the things that we have to think about is the idea that when people purchase online, they go through a lot of things. No, there's the awareness, consideration, and the decision phase when people make a purchase. And during those stages, people get to see a lot of offers being posted on social media. They visit the website, and sometimes they even do Google search to find out what are the options available to them. And during this process, a lot of research is being done with the consumer, including talking to people in terms of getting their inputs, and at the same time, um, sometimes even checking for third-party resources, not just to make sure that they're purchasing from a legitimate service provider. However, there are also what we refer to as underground sellers or common friends or referred by friends na selling online also that we may tend to purchase from. And there are a lot of challenges. So I hope that in this webinar, I'll be able to present to you some practical things that you need to look at when deciding if you're going to buy online. First and foremost, when buying from entrepreneurs online, make sure that the entrepreneur that you would be doing business with is adopting fair and reasonable business practice. Meaning they're not engaged in any practice that you believe is illegal, no, and suspicious, no, especially with the way they price, the way they package their products, no, among others. Because primarily when you purchase products, even from a traditional service provider or from an online service provider, it is your responsibility to make sure that you're buying from a service provider that is reliable, that is stable, um, that is legitimate. In a sense na meron tayong tinatawag na buyer beware, no? It's primarily the responsibility of the buyer to make sure that they're purchasing from a legitimate service provider or from a legitimate retailer. Of course, it's a different story if this person is deceiving you, but the first rule pa rin is dapat the person making the purchase must conduct the necessary due diligence. Another thing that we have to consider is that we must make sure that that the sellers that we encounter online or the ones where we want to buy products from are selling products that primarily meet quality and safety guidelines, meaning you know that they are in proper packaging, meaning you're looking for guarantees that this is or that this is an authentic product and not a fake product, that these are legitimate goods and not smuggled goods, that these are within product period and not necessarily expired products. No, so, for example, if you know that the product is worth 500 pesos in the retail market and all of a sudden you found someone selling it at 100 pesos, although it might be of a sale value, you still have to make sure that these products meets quality and safety guidelines, and that you are really buying an an authentic product to begin with. Okay. Another thing that we have to consider is that these products are authorized to be marketed in the Philippines, having the necessary permits or licenses. There are times that we encounter entrepreneurs who are selling products, and sometimes we get surprised, no? How come their prices are like 50% of the market price? And then all of a sudden, we found out that these are either smuggled, or the service provider is not a registered business, or the products that they're selling does not necessarily have guarantees, no? Kasi minsan sabihin nila, oh, bili ka ng camera sa akin, sa labas, 20,000 yan. Sa'yo, mapapasa ko lang yan ng 10,000. Hindi, pag tiyano mo, may warranty ba? Sabi niya, meron daw, 6 months or 1 year. But the question there is, can this person really carry out the warranty if the person is not even a legitimate business entrepreneur to begin with, meaning hindi registered yung business niya? And being registered is not just about having a DTI permit, no? It's also about having a business permit and having the capability to issue receipts. And if they are selling health products or food products, you have to make sure also that they have the necessary health permits or approvals for them to sell those products. And if they are selling telecom products like gadgets, mobile phones, what have you, having also the necessary NTC stickers that these gadgets are authorized to be marketed in the Philippines, no, and they have passed some safety standards, no, among others. Another thing that you have to consider when buying online is to check whether the entrepreneur or the person selling online is indeed telling you the truth. Ideally, or what is implied under the guideline in the consumer protection law and even on the consumer protection guidelines for e-commerce, is that entrepreneurs must refrain from engaging in any false, deceptive, and misleading advertisement. So when we say false, meaning they should not say things that are not true to begin with. They should not also deceive you. Like for example, sabihin niya, oh, buy this product and then mag-weight loss ka ng 30 pounds, no? Pero bola niya lang pala yun. Okay, sabihin niya, oh, itong water na to, pag ininom mo, anti-cancer yan, mawawala yung cancer mo. So, parang kung wala naman, especially if there are promises, you have to make sure that these promises are backed, meaning they're documented, that there's sufficient information provided that will allow you to validate the information that is being given to you. Otherwise, this will be classified as false, deceptive, and misleading advertisement. So, be very cautious. Of course, sometimes we buy products because of the promise that they're giving us, no? The promise gain, like papayat ka, magiging healthy ka, mawawala cancer mo, gaganda ka, mawawala wrinkles mo, what have you. Pero we cannot just allow ourselves to be carried away with claims that we are unable to verify or authenticate if they are true to begin with. And if we find any seller engaging in sales, no, in that manner where they are either sharing false, deceptive, or misleading information, including superlative claims like the entity will be claiming the number one sila or the best sila, then we have to be cautious with that and not just accept it as is, no? Another thing that we have to be worried about is the information that the entity is disclosing about themselves, no? Ideally, the business entity, the entity selling their products and service to you must disclose information about their identity, no? Anong company sila, saan sila located, ano yung kanilang contact details. And in fact, under the data privacy law, they must also include contact information of person that can receive summons, no? Kung merong inquiry si DTI o si National Privacy Commission about it. Kaya if we're buying from a website or if we're buying from a social media page, products and services being marketed there, if you don't find any business identity information being shared, no, like yung company name nila, address nila, mobile number nila, mag-ingat tayo kasi baka mamaya pagbayad mo kapos wala naman palang darating na product sa'yo o kaya pagbayad mo, dumating yung product, tapos nung nagka-problema ka sa product, bigla na lang mawawala yung page nila o mawawala yung website, no? So we have to take proper precaution to make sure that we are not being misled. Another thing that you have to check also, are the products and services being posted on the website? Make sure that they are fair, accurate, and clear, no? Um, Kasi di ba minsan, yung mga nagbebenta online, sometimes what they only post are photos. Very nice photos, but there's no ample description. They just indicate the price and that's it. Ideally, when an entity sells products and services online, they must provide sufficient information so that you, the buyer, will have available info to you to help you decide whether you would like to purchase or not. This includes what the product is all about, sizes, dimensions, if they are important, weight, including warranties, including what are the benefits, inclusions, exclusions, no? And the price, or if there are delivery fees, if there are other charges, warranties covered, among others, this must be clearly presented to you. The lack of information can also put the merchant into trouble. Kasi halimbawa, let's say you bought an earring, no? A pair of earrings, and then you receive it. Somehow you got confused because based on the picture, the earrings appears quite big, pero nung yung dumating sa'yo, ang liit-liit niya pala. And then sabi sa'yo, sir, kasi nung binili mo yung earrings, nung kinunan siya, close up siya para makita mo yung product mabuti. Pero ikaw, parang feeling mo, na mislead ka kasi you were expecting that the earrings to be a little bit bigger than what you purchased, than what you originally purchased. So if you end up complaining about the product or the transaction, the merchant will be in trouble because they failed to make the necessary disclosure in terms of giving you fair, accurate, and clear information. So as a consumer, before you purchase, make sure also that whatever you purchase, you take a screenshot, including your payments, so that if there will be any confusion later on, it is clear. You will be able to clearly communicate what were you expecting based on what you saw on the website at the time that you made the purchase. All right. So I hope that gives you a good overview about the consumer protection guidelines on e-commerce, and then I focus more on what the consumers should guard. No, now normally if you have a complaint, you want to first resolve that with the merchant, and then kapag hindi kayo magkaroon ng agreement, o kaya hindi ka nakakatanggap ng appropriate response, that's the time that you elevate it to DTI. However, if the entity or the person that you bought from is an individual, hindi siya registered business, sa local police ka na magko-complain. Kasi ang ini-elevate nating complaints sa DTI are complaints with registered businesses. Another thing that buyers have to be cautious of when buying products and services online is the Data Privacy Act of 2012. And this is the Republic Act 10173. Under the law, consumers would fall under the classification of data subject or individuals whose personal information is being processed. Normally, when we inquire about products or services, whether through social media, through email, or through mobile, or through texting, we are transmitting our information. That includes our Facebook account, identity, our email, or our mobile number. And we also disclose information like our address, especially if the intention is to receive the goods that is about to be delivered to us. And if we are buying something on subscription, sometimes we also give our financial details, no? So we must remember that in the law, anyone whose information is being processed is referred to as data subject. So by default, all of us are data subject. Now, the entity where we're buying products from or the entity who stores our information, we refer to them as personal information controller. Technically, all of us are personal information controller because if you're a person who owns a mobile number or has a social media account and accept connections from other people, you are exposed to their information and sometimes you use their information for your own purposes. So in that perspective, you are also a personal information controller. Now, if the handling of information of data subject is being outsourced to a third party or through an employee, that third party or employee is a personal information possessor. So I hope I got that covered. So whenever our information is used or misused or abused, that is the accountability of the personal information controller. Okay, so just to be clear with that. So what are the things that you need to know insofar as the data privacy law is concerned? The data privacy law gave parameters on when and on what premise data processing of personal information be allowed. And the basic premise is when a data subject has given direct consent. So meaning if you are receiving any unsolicited content, whether in the form of text, email, or unsolicited offers that you believe you should not be receiving it in the first place, or all of a sudden you're receiving unusual communication that you are not expecting to be used in the that you do not expect to receive from entities in the first place, then you might feel that your data was misused. So for merchants, they are required under this law that they can only use the data that they have in their possession based on the purpose of how they got it in the first place. So if you gave your data for the purpose of buying a product or service, that data should only be used for that purpose. Anything else otherwise should require consent already from consumers or referred to as data subject under the law. As consumers or data subject, we also have the right to know if the you have the right to know if your personal information is being processed. You can demand information such as the source of the personal information being used, a copy of it. You can also even request the removal and destruction of your personal information unless there is legal obligation that required for it to be kept or processed. So normally when training entrepreneurs, I stress this greatly, no, na hindi sila basta di porket nagbigay ng information sa iyo ang buyers mo, pwede mo nang gamitin yung data nila. Hindi mo siya pwedeng i-share sa iba, hindi mo siya pwedeng ibenta, hindi mo siya pwedeng paggamit sa sister company mo nang walang paalam ng consumer na nagbigay ng information na yon. And to make sure also that the people that we hire in our company o kung nag-hire ka ng virtual assistant para tulungan ka, kailangan malinaw sa kanila na yung information na pinoprocess nila belongs to the company at hindi dapat i-misuse yung information na yan. Kasi that the moment that data is misused, automatic pa rin, hindi yung assistant o virtual assistant ang magiging liable. Ang magiging liable, yung company na talagang may hawak ng data na yon to begin with. Kung ma-abuse yung information na yon, the data subject or the consumer can run after companies who will abuse the handling of their information. Okay? So, I hope that this basic intro on consumer vigilance in the digital age is helpful to you. So, if you have questions, of course, you can send us your questions through our Facebook page or Twitter about the subject. There's much to tackle about consumer protection, but instead of, how do you call it, we tackle it to great extent, I hope that I was able to tackle the basic information that can be helpful for you. Remember, protecting your data, protecting yourself when doing online transactions is primarily your responsibility. Be buyer beware. Make sure that you deal only with businesses that you can trust with, and don't just share your information without checking what is the data privacy policy of the company that you're dealing with, how will they use that information, and their commitment also in protecting your information. All right. So if you would like to know more info, you can visit our website at digitalfilipino.com. We have more than 40 free e-commerce and digital marketing learning modules there. And you can access our website at bit.ly/ecomlearn or bit.ly/ecomactivation. So thank you very much for joining, and to DTI Vigan, who's organizing this activity, I wish you the best, and especially to your activity in this Consumer Education Month or Consumer Awareness Month. And for all the consumers and merchants listening to this presentation, I hope that this will be helpful for you. And if you would like to learn more, I encourage you to visit the links and learn more how you can protect yourself online and your responsibilities also when selling online. Thank you very much.